Greetings all. Greetings, greetings, greetings. As you can see, we're close to sunset. But today the sunset is a little different. It's the day began clear blue skies. Almost no clouds. But as you can see, you look around, sky filled with clouds, horizon to horizon, mountains covered. Mountains are covered. It is still beautiful because this is a relaxing scene. You know? It's like looking out at a desert. And some people look out at the desert, it brings fear. But it's only fearful if you're not prepared. You get on an airplane and you fly from the US or Africa to any other location on the planet Earth. And though you might have a little trepidation, you might say, something in your mind might say, suppose something goes wrong. He said, nah, airplanes don't crash. They do, but this one is not going to crash. And you know why you said that? Because you thought the airline prepared that aircraft for the journey. Most of you, when your car begins to shake, rattle, you get it fixed or you buy another one. Because you don't want your automobile to break down and leave you stranded. You prepare. And that's just to go to work. You're going to work, spending a lot of money on that vehicle to prepare for that. But there are other things in life that are even more serious that you don't prepare for. These things, like the flight, is going to affect your life, I don't know, between 1 hour and I would say 16 hours. That's the longest one I've ever been on. But after you get off that flight, you forgot about. You remember. You have a memory of it, but it doesn't continue to affect your life. But when you move, when you change the location that you live in, especially if it's a place far away from where you were born, that's going to affect your life permanently. When, in the case of what current events, a war in Ukraine or in North Africa, that is going to affect your life, your children's lives, your grandchildren's lives. But people refuse to pay attention to it. Don't care. It's so funny to look at these things. It's only when it comes home, you know, that you begin to voice that temporary frustration. Like the price of the oil is going up and it's driving up the price of everything else. So your gas, your car repairs, your food, and you frustrate yourself with these things because you didn't prepare. You still go out and buy your Jordans instead of saying, you know what, man, I gotta eat, no Jordans. You still teach your kids to want those Jordans, and you have to get them at all costs. And if you don't get them, he'll go out and kill somebody to get them. And you teach your kids. And when you watch other people who survive and thrive and take over your community, you get upset. Say, why are they taking over? Or they come into the community and take over the community? You could have opened that shop, but you wanted Jordans for your kids. You wanted brand name clothes and expensive cars. Most of them don't even buy a house. Don't want to prepare. Somebody told you about an event that's going to happen. Somebody come out and say, you know what, man, by the end of this year, your life is going to be so miserable, you won't believe it. This is going to happen, and that's going to happen, and that's going to happen, and that's going to happen. They will say, I'm going to survive. You start praying, but then doing nothing about it. Ain't doing nothing about it. You just pray. You can find information everywhere. But you will play games on your video console, on your cell phone, computer. You turn it on because you have to work on it. And you watch TikTok and Instagram and this, that, and that. There are millions of men every day that get on these platforms just to give away money to women whose job is just to live in the salon, spend as much money as possible on their nails and hair, and try to create Hollywood in their living room or dining room. Men who are supposed to support their family with this money. Men who are supposed to save that money so that when they reach 59, 60, 70, they have money to pay for whatever they need because the cost of living is so high. They're no longer working. And it's forcing many men to become homeless. People all over the world now, all over Europe, you should say. Because Africa was always like that. Can't find enough food, but all over Europe today, every country in Europe is sending money to Ukraine to buy weapons. And 50-60% of the population can't afford to keep their homes warm in the winter or buy the food that they need to eat. Some of them can't even find an apartment because the price of a rental is so high. But us African folks, wherever we are in the world, thinks we are untouchable because of our religion, or our God is going to protect us. The God that the European told us is going to protect him and us, well, him actually, and he's not getting any protection, as you can see. But still, you're believing that it's going to help us. Israel is killed, murdered, whatever you want to call it. But those are 30,000 people now. All these people have their own God. When life was good and they were selling Africans into slavery and Americans, all three of them got together and sold Africans. The same three that in war with each other. And that war is affecting the whole planet. And each one is prostrating before the African, asking the African to give them moral support. When the war is over and they all come back to stand on the neck of the Africans, what are you people going to do? Because right now you're not preparing for what's going to happen after the war ends. And all wars end. The Romans and the Visigoths, that war ended. The British and the Spanish, that war ended. The Germans and the British and the French, the one that they call world wars, which were family wars between the Caucasian and Europe. They all ended. Don't for 1 minute believe that this one is not going to end. And you are not prepared for what's going to happen after it ends. You know your leaders are not doing anything, but you're keeping them. They're talking about democracy and how they're not going to allow any more coups to throw out the old thieves and robbers. that's been corrupting the country, raising up young men to take over the spot that they've been in, having children, bringing their children into the country, the family business, as I call it, because they turn the country into their own land. They owned it now. They begin poor people, like the former leader of Kenya, his family. And when they leave office, own it's oh, the current leader of Nigeria, Ghana, Senegal, Cameroon, and no plan for when the war ends. The plan for when the war ends came from Europe. You keep things in turmoil in Europe, state in Africa, until we get there after this war is finished. And like Mr. Burrell said, we're gonna turn the jungle into a garden. Where are the people that live in that jungle gonna go? Eric Prince, one of the warlords, you better find out about Eric Prince. Everybody know about the Wagner Group, but nobody know Eric Prince. He said Africa should be taken over again, recolonized, and that Eric Prince has power in America. Said it out loud, and he's not the only one who said it. Europeans have said it too. Burrell said it. He said, "You're gonna come back to Africa and turn it into a garden." He's the head of the European Union, making plans for how they're gonna run the world. And he was telling his people what they're going to do. But Africans are still running to Europe. The leaders are enslaving Africans. Black people in the diaspora like I said, the Jordans are the plan. The women want a 6-figure man. Want to be TikTok, Instagram. Instagram queens are the thing. No plan. Don't get upset with me because I tell you what's true. I tell you the facts. It's up to you to do what you want to do with it. Get upset, it's still going to happen. You're still not going to repair it. Your children are still going to suffer. Your grandchildren are still going to suffer. Your grandchildren are going to say, our parents didn't. Hey, but you'll be dead. So you don't have to worry about what they say about you. Do you want them to be suffering? That's the thing. And you know they're going to be suffering. Enjoy your day wherever you are. I always say this is just information. You do what you want with it. The people who are running the world today, in most cases, before African slavery, their families were poor. Today they are billionaires, and in some few, not even few, I wouldn't talk about the families, but the families are trillionaires. And this was built off the back of slavery of Africans. Don't think it can't happen to you again. There's a man now caught saying that if you criticize him, he's anti-Semitic. He is not Semitic. But if we stand up, like Curry Urban says, I know who I am so and so and so. They jump down his throat, force him to apologize for telling the truth about his history. See what happens when you have a plan? The children can be intimidated because you can't give them a job. That other person can give them a job. That other person was poor, like I said, before slavery. But after slavery controlled the world. Have a great day wherever you are. It's up to you. The war is going to end. What's the plan? Peace.